And we are live. We want the gold, sucker. We want the gold, sucker.
And what up, y'all? It's your boy Ben Goose, and let's get straight into the show. What up, Sage?
What up, Goose? Happy
Lot.
Thursday.
Happy Thursday to you. It's a good Thursday. We record this show on Thursdays. Man, I'm getting blown up on so many texts right now on, are you doing the show tonight? Are you doing the show tonight? What's going on with the show? Because we started a little bit later than normal. But that's a good thing. I'm actually getting people asking me questions about this. Let's get into it. The first question I got to ask you. You were in New Orleans last week. You said that on the show. How was New Orleans last week? Tell me about tell me about New Orleans last week.
It was a party. I'm the big kahuna. It was so great, son. I absolutely loved it, man. I only went there for one reason and one reason only, and that was to participate in the Hall of Fame. But it was I won't say, I would be remiss, I guess, if I didn't say, man, it was fun to actually interact with some of the fans that were out there in NOLA and get to talk to them and talk about all things wrestling. I got to see where my strengths and weaknesses were talking. So that, that was
talking
pretty
to
good.
Other fans, like
talking to other fans, man. I'm not used to talking to other fans at all. And we did get a couple of people. I wore my shirt, of course, and people, we had a couple of people who did recognize us, and I need to get the pictures out there too, because that was, I promised to get those pictures out. So we'll definitely do that. It's good to see, one or two people actually recognize It's Real Wrestling Podcast. Means that we're coming a long way, man. So, but yeah, man, it was good. I stayed for everything for maybe the exception of the last 15, 20 minutes of Goldberg's speech. And then I headed home. It wasn't really,
yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, man. Like, we really only wanted to see what Jeff Jarrett was going to say, and if Mark Henry was going to wear the salmon coat.
Oh yeah, Goldberg wasn't by any means the highlight of the night. I think what he had to say was meaningful, but it wasn't the highlight of the night by any means. I don't know. He wasn't the highlight of the night. I appreciate everything he's done for the business and said and all that, but he wasn't the highlight of the night. How was
No, definitely not.
Did you go to Bourbon Street?
Not really, man. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I'm older now, man. So it's like that stuff don't really appeal to me as much. And plus, I don't want to get in trouble with the missus. Having some compromising photos show up on the internet or something like that, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, I booked it back. I literally, I mean, I had my stuff already packed in the car. So man, it was just a straight drive back, man. So it is what it is, man. Maybe next time bring the family. Maybe we have a caretaker for the kids. And me and the missus can go on Bourbon Street or something like that, man. But
Trick love the kids.
Yeah, for sure, bro, for sure. But what did you think about the before we get into the thick of things? I did want to have a solid discussion about the Hall of Fame, but I wanted to see, like, I was there, so I wanted to see how you felt about it. Don't sit here and tell me you didn't see it. I'll be upset.
No, I watched every single minute. I did not watch the Goldberg part, but I watched everything else. And I have to say, there's a problem with the Hall of Fame. There's a definitive problem with the Hall of Fame. Definitive problem with the Hall of Fame. and I'll get to it right after some messages from our sponsors. We have sponsors, right?
Doggo's popcorn. I don't know, man.
All right. All right. Well, it looks like I'm going to get into the issues that I had with the Hall of Fame right away then, because we don't have sponsors. So here's my thing. My issue was I was painting my house. I think I've mentioned on the podcast before. I'm moving, so I had to paint a couple walls in the house. Painting sucks. It takes a couple of hours. Painting sucks in general. So, but what's perfect is I cracked open a cold beer and I let the Hall of Fame stream while I painted. It was perfect background. Perfect background. So I painted from 7 to about 11:30. And the Hall of Fame was on from 7 to 11. I appreciate everything these wrestlers have done, but we cannot have a 4+ hour show. I get it. I get wrestlers have worked their butts off, so they deserve, their 30 minutes to speak. But we just don't need a 4-hour show. We don't need to be giving these guys 30+ minutes to speak. I love what they have to say. I love the stories they have to tell. But I would just love it if it was. I really like what the Dudleys had. I like what the Dudleys did. But I just don't. I think every person should be cut off at 15 minutes. It's too damn long. Would you agree?
I definitely don't agree with maybe 15 minutes. I get what you're saying about the Hall of Fame, and shout out to Mike in the chat. I think it's the first time him actually joining us. So welcome.
What up,
to
Mike?
The movement, my man. No, man. I felt like the pacing was actually really well done. 4 hours, you're right. 4 hours might be a little stretching it. I just 4 hours was just, it was kind of rough, and it actually was like 5 hours if you're actually in the stadium. So but yeah, it is kind of rough to have it for that long. I think 3 hours is a good cap. 3, maybe 3:30, a total cap on it. But man, I felt outside of Hillbilly Jim, I thought it just flowed really, really solid, like really, really solid, man. And to me, like, I should have brought some tear boxes for like the entire crowd, man, because both Jeff Jarrett and Mark Henry, man, just put things in. I mean, they were speaking for us fans when they were talking to Owen, and I absolutely love the fact that Owen's wife was in the crowd. Mark was apologizing for not being there more for his son. And then both of them were basically telling her that, hey, it's time for Owen to be there. Like, this is not company speech. This is not company talk. He's one of us, one of the boys. Let us honor him. And I really think that she's going to let him be inducted into the Hall of Fame next year. And if he does, he needs to be like the guy, like hands down, he needs to be the guy.
So, okay, does the Hall of Fame need to be 5 hours? Listening to people talk, there's no need for the Hall of Fame to be 5 hours.
I agree, man. I'm not saying that it should be 5 hours, but there's a lot of things that you could have cut from that. Like, we talked about it last week, man. There's no reason that Kid Rock should have even been in that. And that, I'm not gonna get too deep in it, but that shit that he tried to pull was just, it was not.
You're talking about the political stuff?
The political shit, yeah. And we said that. We knew it was coming. Like, we knew that it was coming. Like, don't.
Kid Rock kept it short. He was only up there 5-10 minutes.
Do you think that was by choice?
No, dude, okay.
They gave him the coup de grace. They gave him the coup de grace right up there, man. They could have cut that crap like nobody's business, man.
Okay, let's meet in the middle, Sage. Let's meet in the middle. Let's meet in the middle here.
All right, man.
What if, okay, so you're okay with wrestlers getting 30 minutes to talk. Agree? Yes or no?
I am. Yes. I am. I'm totally fine if it's 30 minutes as long as it's like if it flows, you know what I mean? Like
Okay. So what if in the future, instead of having 5, 6, 7, 8 people or more go to the Hall of Fame, and if you want people to have 30 minutes to talk, what if they just put 4? 4 people at 30 minutes is a 2-hour show.
I think that would be fine, man. 4 or 5 max, I think would be the perfect amount. But having 7 people inducted into the Hall of Fame, that's too much, man. I mean, that I think we can all agree that that's just it's too much. It's too much of a time suck for that. And it's no disrespect, like
No, not at all.
it was
Not
a
at all.
pretty decent class aside from Kid Rock. It was a pretty decent class, and I know I was critical of the Ultimate Warrior award, but for separate reasons. But I thought even the spot for the Ultimate Warrior was JJ. I thought that was good. Dana Warrior's got to kind of cut back on. I hate to say it because I feel like
No, say it. It needs to be said. It needs to be said by you specifically. Nobody else out there is going to say it.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of disingenuous to talk about Warrior for 8 minutes and then not talk about JJ, at all, or not at all, but for like a minute and a half.
I agree.
And it's no disrespect to Warrior. I'm the biggest Warrior fan you'll ever see. But I just thought it was disingenuous to it. I mean, this is the 3rd year already. We kind of get it.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. And shout out to Mike. Mike in the chat, new subscriber. He's saying he's glad to watch the Hall of Fame, but he's kind of summing it up. He'd rather watch a shorter version. So Sage, I went back and listened to the Killing Them with Content. Matt, we did 3 shows last week. That's a lot of shows.
Sure did.
Excuse me. Let me step back. My WrestleMania predictions were absolutely terrible. Let's get into WrestleMania. Actually, you know what? Let me start with the weekend. Tell me right now on the spot your favorite 3 matches. You don't even have to go into why. Your favorite 3 matches of the weekend. The best 3 matches you saw of that entire weekend.
Oh, Ghost, why you put me on the spot, son? Oh my God. Oh, okay, man. The favorite 3 matches of the weekend. All right, man. That Johnny Gargano match and Ciampa match was just absolutely amazing. And shoot, man. I also like that North American 6-man ladder match for the North American title. I thought that was amazing. Hopefully we'll get some time to talk about that a little bit. And then my third favorite match is kind of a tie-ish. I hope you forgive me for putting 2 in there, but I think it would have to be the 205 Live and the I enjoyed the ending to the men's battle royal.
Wow.
Especially like the last 4. I know that's crazy, but
What you're putting in there is one of your favorite matches.
Yeah, it to me it was one of my favorite matches. That's me. What about you, man?
So I would definitely go. My number 1 match of the weekend was the Andrade Almas versus Aleister Black. I texted you that day and said that's one of the best matches I've seen in my life.
It was amazing, man.
The story told in that match to me was awesome. Second, I'd probably wouldn't even say number 2. I'd probably say 1B was for sure the Gargano and Ciampa match. And third, I wasn't a big fan of the ladder match. It was okay. I was glad Adam Cole won. That caught me off guard. Third, though, I can't say there was a third. No, Shayna Baszler and Ember Moon. So I'm not just doing the Mark thing and just picking at NXT matches. maybe I need to go back and watch WrestleMania again. I didn't. WrestleMania was good. Don't get me wrong. The great endings. A lot of underdogs won. A lot of people I thought wouldn't won. But I don't know. I watched NXT. Maybe I was just tired. So my day Sunday consisted of me waking up at 7 o'clock and finishing painting my house. And then instead of taking a power nap, I decided at 1 o'clock Sunday, instead of taking a power nap, I decided, I'm going to crack open a cold beer, sit on the couch and watch NXT. So I watched NXT from 1 to 4, and then WrestleMania from 4 to 11 something. So maybe that was my thing. I was just by the time WrestleMania hit, I'd watched wrestling from 10 hours of wrestling.
Yeah, that was a lot of wrestling, man.
It was, but NXT was awesome. I loved the Shayna Baszler match because she sold when she put her finisher on that her shoulder was separated and she had to grab her hair to lock onto it. So it's just those little things that I picked up on.
Yeah, it was the same exact match as Charlotte and Asuka. But I digress, man. Mike in the chat says he liked Ciampa Gargano, the North American ladder match, and Finn, the triple threat for the IC title match.
Yeah, the triple threat was, man, my hair looks crazy. I look like I got electrocuted. Shout out to Mike. I would definitely say the triple threat match was the second best match of WrestleMania to me because of how impressed I was with how well Ronda Rousey did. But we'll get into that in just a sec.
Yeah. What about your entrances, man? What were your favorite 3 entrances of the weekend?
Shinsuke Nakamura's 1, 2, and 3. That's it. I guess Triple H and Stephanie. But the entrances for WrestleMania weren't that great this year.
No, but we got more CGI. Pyro than we did the entire year.
Yeah, we did. And now we're not going to get, but they relied on CGI for a lot of it, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But no, Shinsuke Nakamura's was by far, would you agree, the best entrance of the weekend?
Oh, man.
Nothing comes close to it, Sage.
Trying to think. No, I think Finn Balor's was the best of. I'm just kidding. No,
the non-demon Finn Balor that we got. Yeah,
and well, that's something else we got to talk about. But no, I actually like Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins and what's his name? Mustafa Ali's entrance. I thought that was pretty awesome. Mustafa Ali was
Sub-Zero
sporting, huh?
Sub-Zero.
Yeah,
it
was like a cross between Sub-Zero and Running. Was it the Running Man or Tron? Like it was to me, it seemed like it was like a mix between the two. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And then I absolutely loved how Seth Rollins was decked out in like all reptilian gear, and you saw on the back of the Titantron, it had like the face of a lizard or something like that, and then his eyes were all iced up, which I thought was awesome. Yeah. I just didn't know whether or not it was CGI or if those were contacts, because when he was fighting in the ring, he didn't have it at all.
Maybe he took out the fake contacts or something. And shout out to Mike on the live stream, the chat. He's asking, or he's commenting that he disagrees with the Ronda Rousey stuff, because if Miesha Tate couldn't beat her, who's a former UFC champion, actually recently retired, expecting a child on the way. If Miesha Tate couldn't beat Ronda Rousey, how are we supposed to believe that Stephanie McMahon can? So I see where you're going with that. I see where you're going with that, Mike, and I appreciate you chiming in and listening. I think the thing is in WWE is you just have to not think about that stuff. We all know it. I mean, come on. You just have to suspend the belief for a minute. Because the same thing goes for Brock. Can Roman Reigns beat Alistair Overeem? No, not at all. But you just have to kind of suspend belief for a minute, because it's kind of an apples and oranges comparison, UFC to WWE. So let's get into it. Ronda Rousey, her debut, Sage. You a fan? I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
Dude, I think that we all collectively as fans just gasped at the first 3 seconds of her getting in the ring because she made a believer out of she made a believer out of me that she could wrestle, man. Like
And
she
so,
just tore
and
down the
so,
house, bro.
yeah.
I was marking out the entire freaking match, bro. I was like, oh my god, like she's actually doing it and it looks really, really good. I was like, damn, that's my girl. She's going on doing it, man. I
Oh, it was
just
great.
I was happy for her, man. I just
Yeah. Did you see her? And her. So I expected that match to be about 5-6 minutes. No, it was long. It was a long match.
yeah, that was a long match.
And I literally lost my shit laughing when I saw Triple H throw Kurt Angle on that table. But since Kurt Angle's, a bit up there in age, he just kind of tossed him onto the table, kind of
Yeah,
pushed him over. I lost it
yeah,
laughing. But Ronda
yeah,
looked
he did.
great. She sold well. Timing was good. And she picked up Triple H on her shoulders. I'd assume Triple H is probably a 240-pound guy,
Yeah, 240,
250
250. Yeah.
easily. And
Yeah,
she
she picked
held him
him.
there for a while.
Yeah, she held him there for a while. Looks like Stephanie kind of missed the spot there, came in a little bit too late,
Yeah.
but yeah, she had the cue up there, and I absolutely loved it when Triple H moved the ref to the corner. It was like, I'm the boss. Let me handle this.
Yeah.
Turned around, and then she just was throwing the bows, bro. I was like, yes, like this is flipping great, man. And I loved it, man. And Stephanie's one of the best heels ever, man. Like she has got to be one of the top 10 greatest heels of all time, bro. The way that she sold and the way that she was telling the story in the ring, and then when Ronda was like slipped in when she was about to slip in the armbar, and Stephanie was just like pleading for her life. She's like, "No, I'm sorry. Please don't do this." And then Ronda
I
I just
loved
loved
that
it,
ending.
bro. I
I
loved it.
loved so the little things. That's what got me this weekend. Like I mentioned earlier, Shayna Baszler grabbing her hair so she can keep in the lock. The little things. So if you noticed when the match was ending and Ronda grabbed her arm, Stephanie is screaming and she locked her fingers together to try to prevent the armbar from happening, which is a common MMA defense technique. Obviously, it's wrestling, so it's not going to work. At Ronda, screaming, "No, no, 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 no!" And Ronda's response was, "This arm is mine."
Yeah.
And she put her in the armbar and she tapped immediately. It wasn't like Steph lasted for a minute before she tapped out. I loved it, and I loved how it followed up on Raw the next night too. So I thought Ronda Rousey did great. I think
Ronda
as
was
she
acting
gets
like she was taking Loke Dog for a ride. Oh no, motherfucker, you ain't going nowhere.
Google that reference if you don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, man.
Man, that's great. So okay,
Good stuff, man.
we got to move into this week's. We got to move into Raw and SmackDown this week. The week that was, but anything else in WrestleMania? You know what? Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar closing of the show.
I hated it, man.
So did I. I thought it sucked bad.
Yeah. I mean, I said in the predictions, man, I don't care one bit about this match whatsoever, and I wasn't convinced that Roman was going to win. Even though it was like the most logical choice that he was going to win, but I don't know, like I'm fine with Brock winning. I'm not fine with him re-signing, and then Roman getting another shot for no reason. Like I don't get it. Like what has he done to get a freaking rematch? They treating him like he was the prior champ. Like what's up? What's good?
I don't get it. First off, let me say Brock Lesnar has some ugly ass teeth. That's one thing I noticed at WrestleMania. Don't brush your teeth; just get them replaced. I didn't like that Roman Reigns survived. Was it? Correct me if I'm wrong. 6 F5s? What's it? Or 7?
Didn't I say that? I said that for T, bro. I said it was going to be like 6 It was going to be like 6 suplexes, 6 F5s, and like 12 Superman punches, bro. And that's exactly what this match was, man. And that and the bleeding was like whoever did the production was terrible, bro. Because Roman bled, like he bladed on the outside of the ring, man. Like
No. So I can 100% confirm it was the short elbows.
no,
So
it wasn't, bro. It wasn't. He bladed himself. The ref gave him like you can go back and watch it. The ref gave him the blade when Roman threw or when Brock threw him over the announcer table. He bladed, but he bladed too deep. And then when he came back into the ring, Brock gave him one before Brock actually gave him the elbow. You can actually see where he was already serrated. He cut himself too deep, man. That's why Brock was upset at the end of the match.
So do you think Brock was supposed to cut him open with the short elbows?
He was. I think the short elbows were
Like he
supposed to
did-
be planned,
like
but
he
it
did to
wasn't
Randy
supposed to. No, it wasn't supposed to be like Randy Orton. Like it wasn't supposed to be where. And I still don't think that, even though they say that that's what it was planned, I don't think it was planned that way because that was like freaking brutal. But this one right here, he was supposed to blade, and then he was supposed to do the elbows. Brock doesn't like doing the elbows because it can kind of jeopardize him going to UFC if he ends up breaking something. So
the short elbows, just FYI for everybody listening, the short elbows are known, and Mike, I'm listening to you in the chat. The short elbows are known in the UFC to give a fighter an advantage, not necessarily because they're powerful, but it's because the pointiness of your elbow makes you bleed. So when Brock gave him to Randy, and Randy has confirmed on the Edge and Christian podcast that he agreed, hey, let me take some color. Let me get bloody from Brock. He just unfortunately happened to get concussed when it happened. So Brock knows how to throw those elbows that'll bust you up and make you bloody. So I thought Brock was just making Roman bloody with those short elbows because it doesn't take a lot of pressure.
And it doesn't. But remember where Randy was actually cut? He was cut right above the forehead, like right above his eyebrows, like straight through. You can see the gash. When Roman was bleeding, like there's a point where he's turned to the side. The camera has him to the side, and he does that little scream. But the blood's coming from the top of his from the top of his head out, and then to the ref's shoes. So it's like it squirts completely out. Brock didn't hit him at the top of the head. It wasn't even exposed. Like his forehead was exposed, but not the top of his head. So that's how you know he didn't actually bust him open. So it's just the angle of the whole thing. See where he was bleeding from. He wasn't bleeding from anywhere in his forehead. His forehead was completely how do you say?
It was on the hairline.
Smooth.
It was on the hairline because the next day he had it marked up on Raw.
It's completely smooth, but he bladed this way. Like he bladed vertical, not horizontal. So if Brock would have busted him open, Brock would have busted him open horizontally, not vertically.
Wait, are you reading this? Is this some like a Twitter conspiracy?
No, you can see it. Like just like go back and watch it. If they haven't edited it, go back and watch it and watch the point where he throws him over the rope or throws him over the announcer table. Paid close attention to like the upper left where the referee is. You can, or it's either ref or somebody that's there. They pass him something. You see him like moving over, and you see him moving his arm. That's the point where he cuts himself. Now, when he throws him back into the ring, before Brock hits the elbow, throws the elbow, just pay attention to the outside of where Brock is striking, because his elbow is supposed to come in on the right side of his eye, but the actual blood that's squirting is coming from the left side of his scalp. And you can see the blood actually gush out from the top of his head to where the referee is standing. So you know that it wasn't actually from his elbows. It was actually because he bleeded. He bleeded too hard.
Okay. I'll have to go back and look into it. Let's get into this week that is wrestling. Let's get into it. Monday Night Raw, the Raw after Mania. One of the craziest Raws of the year.
Yeah.
I liked it. A lot of surprises, a lot of debuts, a retirement, a lot going on. I didn't like that Stephanie McMahon came out from the beginning and kind of just controlled the crowd. I think that Raw is a special Raw of the year where Beach Ball Mania is okay and the fans chanting their vulgarities are okay and all that good stuff.
Mhm.
So I like the fact that Ronda Rousey came out and re-broke her arm.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of consistent because Stephanie's not going to be around all year, so you have to have a way to kill off the character at least for another 6 to 8 months. So having Ronda come out there and just like quote unquote break her arm kind of helps set the tone for that. So we won't be seeing Stephanie for a while. So I definitely I dug it, man. I just thought it was a fitting end to what was WrestleMania. Unlike Charlotte beating Asuka, which I'm still kind of heated about, but it is what it is.
With the payback was there on Charlotte this week. We'll get into it.
For sure.
Get into it in a bit in our SmackDown review. So, what was your thoughts of the overall Raw? Just spill your guts on Raw and what you thought.
Raw was terrible, man. It was terrible, and it wasn't because of the crowd interaction or anything like that. It was just it wasn't really aside from I think that it was just more focused around, hey, these are the up and coming stars. Here's a showcase of them, and that's it, man. No Way Jose came out and did the Congo line and like literally did one move to a jobber, and that was it. It wasn't even his finisher, like that, which was crazy. Like I don't know if that's what they're going to change his finisher to, but his finisher is usually the wind up punch in the air or the wind up punch while the guy's standing. But he tossed him up in the air and hit him with the right hook, which I thought that was just kind of not going to really get over the crowd with something like that, man. But it is what it is. I loved Ember Moon. You know, we kind of all figured she was going to get the call up either now or right after SummerSlam. So it's good that it's in the now. And then outside of that, I mean, it didn't really. I mean, Paige's retirement, we knew that was coming.
Oh yeah.
In hindsight, I thought it was a good idea of what they did in terms of keeping her around, so that way it doesn't overshadow what Daniel Bryan was doing. So in hindsight, I think that was a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I think Raw was good only because I like AOP, even though I ragged on him. What was it? A year ago? When I was
about
like,
about a year and a half.
Yeah, I ragged on him bad about being unsafe and all that good stuff. But now I'm a fan of him now. It kind of sucks they're not going to have Paul Ellering, but I loved the call up, loved the Ember Moon call up. No Way Jose is unfortunately, I don't know if this is going to be accurate. I hope not, but I think he might be Adam Rose 2.0, where you rely on the fans and the chants and all that, and you have the Rosebuds, aka the conga line. That's kind of my concern for him. Paige retiring was sad. We all kind of knew about it anyways. But Raw, I will say it was good. But it peaked early. The Raw after Mania, it peaked early. I'm not blaming the fans because I think they were just exhausted from a long weekend of wrestling.
Yeah.
And they didn't get to cuss because when they started a shut the fuck up chant when Stephanie McMahon was talking and she talked over him, and that's, something you do to help kill the crowd chant. So they never really got into their flow of being the crazy Raw crowd, which that's the thing that sucked to me is, so I get it. If I had a TV show, I don't want fans chanting shut the fuck up, especially if I have, advertisements and all that stuff. But that's part of Raw after Mania is the crowd being the show.
Yeah.
And they took that away. In the essence, Stephanie McMahon took it away, but she cut a good promo. The whole thing was good. Any other week, it would have been great. It was just taken away. We had a lot of NXT call-ups. We had Bobby Lashley come back. And the announcement of the Superstar shakeup.
He came out to crickets, bro.
Oh God, that was bad. I rewatched that today before we started the podcast. While I was watching the internet and you were on the internet, when both of us were like, "Man, what time we starting this bitch today?" I watched Bobby Lashley's debut, and as much as it seems like he's gonna get a push and be the guy to probably beat Brock at some point, I guess people just didn't know who he was. I'm glad he's back. Don't get me wrong, man. I'm pumped, but Raw was. I had to convince myself that Raw was good, and it was good. It really was. You got all those the whole show was call ups and comebacks, including Jeff Hardy, which was awesome. And I liked that they instantly fed into, hey, is this Jeff Hardy or Brother Nero that's come back? And then the backstage thing where we finally heard Matt say, hey, Brother Nero, I see that you're not woken. And they confirmed he's Jeff Hardy, which I think I've said on the show before. I think Jeff Hardy's going to have a solo career, so I won't be surprised if he goes to SmackDown next week. But I thought Raw was good. Wasn't my favorite post-Mania Raw of all time, but it was good. Samoa Joe kind of had a brief cameo come back. I don't think he's truly back. Maybe he's got to heal up for a bit, but I'm pumped to see where it goes.
Yeah, that promo that he put on Roman Reigns was just absolutely amazing, man. I absolutely enjoyed it. It's probably the highlight of Raw. But you take the call outs out of it, like take the call outs out of it, take Joe returning out of it, and you're left with like a less than mediocre show, man. It wasn't, unfortunately, it wasn't that great. In my opinion, I just don't think that it was great. Mike in the chat was saying that Mauro Ranallo needs to be on commentary on Raw to do the AOP entrance. It would be good in theory, but Michael Cole, until he retires, nobody's taking that spot from him. He's kind of like the Mike Tenay of back in the WCW when when in TNA when someone was trying to take his job, or was it WCW? I don't know. Paranoid and won't give up the spot, man. So that ain't gonna happen anytime soon.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the week in wrestling, we had the big Nakamura heel turn, which will lead us into SmackDown. I loved Nakamura on SmackDown giving his commentary to Renee Young on why the heel turn happened. And then when he got asked why, he gave his opinion. He gave just a truly honest opinion. And when he was asked why, he was like, I ain't got to answer to you. Oh, I don't speak English. And that's the way I took it.
English.
It was so cool that he went with the
heel Nakamura, bro.
Girl, you trying to challenge me? That's the way I took it. Is she challenged him, and he took it as like,
his English was spot on, bro. Like AJ wasn't lying. That boy can speak English, man.
Yeah.
Man, that was great, man. It seemed genuine. Like when the way he was talking, it didn't seem like scripted. I'm not saying that it wasn't, but it didn't seem scripted. And if it was something like he just put together, like that's how you have to do Nakamura, man. Just let him be arrogant and cocky and yo, that wink, bruh. That wink had me weak. And Renee sold that well, man. Like, God, I want Talking Smack to be on. Just, God, how much fun that would have been if that interview was on Talking Smack, bro.
Oh, it would have been great. I thought SmackDown was pretty good. But what SmackDown did good this week is they had good matches.
Yeah, they did.
And the intent of the show was a future building show, meaning Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. Once Paige, the new general manager, announced that, I thought, okay, there's absolutely, positively no way that these two are going to fight not at a pay-per-view.
Nope.
And then I actually thought halfway through the match, I was like, you know what? Nakamura is going to interfere in this match, and he's going to, because we all want to see an AJ Styles Nakamura and a Daniel Bryan Nakamura match, especially with a heel Nakamura whose strong style moveset is geared towards kicking your head off and kneeing your head off to a concussion-filled Daniel Bryan. You know, he's just making his comeback. I think there's a lot to be said, and I thought that Chapter 1 was WrestleMania, AJ Styles versus Nakamura. I think, I don't know if Nakamura will win the title. I don't know, but I think that this week actually planted the seeds for a very heel Nakamura versus a very face Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 35. So I liked what they did. That they gambled and they went with a heel Nakamura. I think you called it last week, and he's got the title. Jinder's got the title. You said last week he was going to win it. You got a champion in Jinder who gets instant heat. But SmackDown this week, I think that, would you agree that the highlight of SmackDown this week was the Iconics?
Dude, I mean, you could take your pick, man. I mean, they had 3 good spotlights in 2 hours, bro. I mean, the Iconics coming out, you know, doing damage, and God, I absolutely love the way that they just belittled Charlotte in tandem. Like, that was I thought that was amazing, man. I marked out during that whole time, and when you saw the beatdown coming through, like, you knew what was happening, man. You knew exactly where it was going, and congratulations to our girl Carmella for cashing in. I love the way that she cashed in, where Mike Chioda was like, "Are you sure you want to cash it in?"
Yeah, he asked like a dozen times.
What are you doing? Like, this is Charlotte. Do you really want to cash in on Charlotte? I mean, really? Do you really? I loved it, man. I thought that belt suspense and like, it gave you the feeling that, man, he's taking way too long, letting her recover way too much, and something might happen. But in the end, you know, I like it, man. The changing of the guards. I absolutely love what they're doing with Nakamura, AJ, and Daniel Bryan sowing the seeds. But the $1 million question is, are they all going to be staying together come next week?
So I honestly think they may give AJ Styles a rematch. I really think they'll give AJ Styles an automatic rematch for the title. And I mean, I know he has the title now, but I think they'll give him like well, you got to redefend it against Shinsuke Nakamura, because they have to have an ending to their story. I don't think you leave a cliffhanger with this, and I think AJ Styles goes to Raw next week. But they'll somehow, I don't know. I could picture him having a rematch against Nakamura. Maybe that's where Nakamura wins the title in the rematch. But I feel like you can't just have that one WrestleMania match and never have anything follow up between the two, now that they're in a feud and one's clearly a heel. I feel like you can't do that and send him to Raw yet. I think AJ Styles is definitely going to Raw next week. I hope not.
Because drop the title, or I mean,
well, they could announce a title match, and it would be like they did last year, where they would say, well, he's a Raw challenger, but if he wins the title, that title comes to Raw. But I think they have to go with a Styles Nakamura 2. But I think since Styles has been in SmackDown, and SmackDown's the house that AJ Styles built, I think it's about time he shows up on Raw. But we'll see. I like the superstar shakeup.
Yeah. Well, we got Silky in the chat there, man. It made something interesting. We could have an AJ Seth match at Backlash, and winner goes to SmackDown. I think the WWE title just needs to stay on SmackDown. That the Universal title, bro, it's let's call it what it really is, man. It's the Brock title.
Oh
The
God.
title is just there for Brock Lesnar and Brock Lesnar only, man. The real title on Raw is the Intercontinental title or the US title if they decide to ship gender over to SmackDown, which I think
Raw.
that's what they're gonna do. I mean to Raw. I think that's what they're gonna do, man. I think the IC and the US are gonna swap. So
But they
then
did that last year.
Yeah, they did that last year. And I think it only makes sense because DB is likely going to stay on SmackDown. And if he stays on SmackDown, that'll give Miz the opportunity to come back for his title. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe interesting dynamics, man. I am definitely interested to see what happens next week.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. So, lot going down in wrestling this week. We've recapped a ton of it. What else do you want to get into? I've kind of hit my solid points for the week.
Well, Silky wants to talk about the 50-man battle royal that's happening in 2 weeks, and it's on a Friday, isn't it?
Yeah, but that I'm not worried about it being on a Friday because there's time delays when you go from here to Saudi Arabia. I don't know how far, ahead they are in the time. That show, we'll get into our predictions before that actual show goes down. Once we get the official card, because there's no women on the card.
Oh,
Sage, thoughts?
I'm not shocked. I mean, we know the deal in Saudi Arabia, and it'll come. Baby steps, man. We just had the first WWE women go over there to wrestle, so baby steps, one at a time. So what most people are kind of up in the arms of is that it was announced on Monday that Rusev was going to be fighting Undertaker, and it wasn't going to be in any normal match. It was in it was going to be in a casket match, and there was two kind of I don't want to say fans, but I guess two types of people who are weighing in, or two types of views weighing in on here. One view is that we know that whether it's kayfabe or not, Rusev's been kind of adamant about his role in the WWE. It's been kind of vocal in the negotiations and things of that nature, and how he's been portrayed and utilized, and says things on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter. So many have speculated that this was going to bury Rusev further, or this might be his last hurrah, while others were saying that this is a blessing and he should be honored to be in this type of match.
Wait, so Sage, did you not hear about the update today?
Oh, no, I did, and that's going to actually segue into my next point. So, the people who are saying that this was a blessing were blaming the people who said that this is a burial, because now Rusev is no longer on the card, or at least not on the card with the Undertaker. He's been replaced with Chris Jericho. So I don't know if you knew that all this stuff was going on, man, but I wanted to see what your thoughts were in terms of the fans having any impact on Rusev being removed, if you think this is a burial. And specifically, I want you to comment on what you think of the point of a casket match is.
The fans had absolute zero impact. It was that, man, what looked like I got electrocuted. Fans had absolutely zero impact. It was oh wait, we have a Chris Jericho guy who's older, who doesn't need to take as many bumps. I took it as in a casket match, you don't have to have a match with a bunch of bumps, or you could have a match where the Undertaker squashes somebody, like he did John Cena at WrestleMania. So I'm cool with it. Yeah, I get to see Undertaker, and he'll fight a quick match. So I'm completely cool with it, and I'm glad they switched it from Rusev to Chris Jericho, because Chris Jericho doesn't have anything to gain by any means, and Rusev's hot right now. So I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have a problem with it being a casket match. Like, I don't have a problem with Rusev fighting the Undertaker by any means. I think that if they're trusting Rusev to fight the Undertaker, then they're holding him in higher regards. You know what I mean? Seeing as though the Undertaker is one of the cash cows for WrestleMania. But I do have a problem with them just arbitrarily putting a casket match on there, because a casket match is one of those protected matches, right? It's usually used to signify either someone being, terminated or no longer, the contract's up or whatever, or signifies them going away for a while and possibly getting repackaged. There was no build whatsoever to this casket match, and I get this is the first time that Saudi Arabia has seen a Undertaker or a casket match, one or the other. But there was absolutely no build or reason why has to be a casket match. Why couldn't it have been a Hell in a Cell match? Why couldn't it have been a last yard match or something like that? A casket match is, I hate that they use it as a gimmick, because they're using it as a gimmick like King of the Ring or Starcade, or it doesn't mean anything. I think it's disingenuous to the history behind that type of a match.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to agree with you, because I think that this whole event is one big push for the Middle East, and that's why we have the gimmick of this match and the gimmick of Roman Reigns and Brock in a steel cage and a 50-man battle royal. I think it's just a gimmicky card that's just meant to be fun. We're all going to watch it, and hopefully the winner of the 50-man battle royal has some type of payoff or some like title shot or something. So I just take it more of it's just a part of the gimmick of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I took that into consideration too. This might be just one of those non-concurrent storyline matches like Roadblock was a couple years back. I, for one, I'm glad that they're actually putting it on the network. Like, last time we got screwed with Starcade.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I am happy that they're putting it on the network. I mean, that's what we pay money for these types of events that are outside of the normal scheduled pay-per-views. So,
and I completely agree. So this week there's a lot to cover in wrestling. Did you have any other topics you wanted to cover this week? Because we got into some good stuff, and man,
no, I mean, not really, man. I just to echo, man, that pink coat, bruh, that salmon coat that Mark Henry wore, man, that was great.
Coat of the weekend.
I thought he was coming back, bro. I thought he was coming back.
Coat of the weekend by far. This week, busy week in wrestling. Hall of Fame, NXT, ROH, Cody Rhodes going over Kenny Omega, unfortunately. Just a lot to go through this week in wrestling. And it was the biggest weekend the biggest weekend in general in wrestling for the year. Check out our shows. We killed them with content last week. We have NXT previews, Hall of Fame previews, WrestleMania previews, what we want to see here, what we want to see there, who's going to win and why, tons of stuff. So, Sage, do we have some shout-outs this week?
We do, man. We got some shout-outs, man. I'm loading it up, man. You got that music, homie? You got that music?
Oh, yeah, I got that music. What do you want to go? You want to go some dub?
Yeah, let's get some dub on. Hey, I just don't want it to get us, hit, so I'm gonna have to keep talking on the track there, man. Million miles an hour. That's Texas right there, man.
No talking necessary.
No talking necessary.
I stole the music, and you only get caught when you get caught. No,
that's right. Hey, so shout out to Mike and the Wrestling Network. Thank you for coming out live and watching the show with us. Big shout out to Silky Mel. Always a pleasure having you, man. Got your shirt, bro. I just got to go and deliver it. So we got to set up some time to come and see you, man. I don't forget about you. Shout out to everyone that we interacted with this week at the Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame, on Twitter, on Instagram. Thank you so much. Continue to follow, support, share We're literally less than 400 away from our yearly goal of 1,000 followers. So keep up the good work. Want to give a shout out to our new followers. We've got Dr. Sean Stasiak, and if that name sounds familiar, it should, because it is the actual Sean Stasiak. Didn't know he was a doctor though, so thank you so much for joining us. We've got B. Clark, we've got Evans, we've got, let's see, who else do we got here? I need to write these all down. We've got Erica, we've got Brian, we've got Sean Doon, we've got Andre Amore, we've got Deontay Ogletree, we've got Dropkick. We've also have By God Stone Cold. Man, we gotta change like some names up there, man. We got Bridget Arnold. Don't forget to check out our friends in Austin, 5 Meat Comics. We have Sista is a Sam, as a Sim. We have Warrior 1383. We've got All In. We've got Kushigata Pandey. We've got Alexis Littlefoot. We've got a Wrestling Fan Speak. Thank you so much for commenting. We have Suban, we have Joe Altamar, we've got Selvin Moreno, we've got Anil Kumar and Ian. And then last but not least, we have FH_streamers for Saturn. Homie is he's a streamer on Twitch. Y'all go check him out. He's raising money for Perry Saturn. So y'all go check him out, show him some love. And that's about it on the shout outs, man. No, it was a little long, but we appreciate you guys.
Yo, I'm your boy Ben Goose, and that's your boy Sage the Mark. Great show this week, right? A lot going on, and just in the world of wrestling, we had NXT, we had NXT WWE, we had NXT WrestleMania, Monday Night Raw, and SmackDown. Just a good overall week. We're not going to complain, take away from it. Again, I'm your boy Ben Goose, and hit me up at Ben_Goosen on Twitter. Sage, where can they find you at?
You can find me at Sage the Mark on Twitter, Instagram. It's Real Wrestling Podcast. You can also hit us up on Twitter at Real WrestleCast. Don't forget, we got a website with all of our credentials, IRWP.us. If you want to send some email to us. We got IRWPfeedback@gmail.com. And if you just want to pick up that phone and give us a call, you can do that too. 419-777-IRWP. Hit us up. What's good, Goose? What's good?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. By the way, I just memorized our official phone number last week. So I think on the podcast last week or the week before, I forgot to give an area code, but I gave it in the Killing Content week. Again, 419-777-IRWP. If you can't figure it out on your phone on how to call us, then just don't call us. Figure out how to use your phone first. But I digress. I joke around. I kid. Great week in wrestling. Ben Goosen, Sage Mark. Everybody, keep it real.
Keep it real.
Hey everybody, this is your boy Ben Goose, and thank you for joining the show today. The thoughts and opinions expressed today are that of the host and not of the IRWP. We appreciate you listening. Hit us up, 419-777-IRWP. All voicemails are played on air. Hit us up on Twitter. You know what? Go to Twitter. It's easy. Type in It's Real Wrestling Podcast. We're one of the biggest things going. You'll find how to reach Sage the Mark, how to reach Ben Goose, and we do respond to DMs. Hit us up anytime, or even if you want to talk to us on the phone. Again, 419-777-IRWP and IRWP.us. At the end of the day, just remember, keep it real.